And again, we wish to recognize the presence of Minister Therese Kayikwamba-Wagner in the chamber. Since the last meeting of the Council on the situation in the Eastern DRC,
what if the truth about the Rwanda-Congo conflict isn't what you've been told? What if the real culprits aren't just rebel groups, but powerful players pulling the strings from behind the scenes? In a shocking speech at the UN General Assembly, South Africa's ambassador exposed the untold truth, revealing who is really fueling the war, who profits from the bloodshed, and why peace is deliberately being sabotaged. With M23 rebels still launching deadly attacks despite sanctions, where are they getting their weapons? Who is ensuring that the fighting never ends? And most importantly, why is the West silent when it could stop this war in an instant? Here, we would like to take a moment and thank you for supporting us and being a valued part of our strong community. And if you are not yet a member, we encourage you to join us and help build an even stronger community together. Let's get started. The Rwanda-Congo conflict is one of Africa's most brutal and persistent wars. Despite peace agreements, ceasefires, and the presence of United Nations UN peacekeepers, the fighting never truly stops. The war is not just a regional issue. It is deeply connected to global politics, resource exploitation, and hidden interests that do not want peace in the region. The March 23rd movement, M23, is at the center of this war, acting as both a military threat and a political tool. Sanctions have been imposed, peace talks have been held, and yet M23 continues to thrive, attacking civilians, the Congolese army, and even UN peacekeepers. This raises serious questions. Who is keeping M23 strong, and why does the world allow this war to continue? There are many forces at play in this conflict. The Congolese government blames Rwanda for backing M23, while Rwanda denies the allegations and accuses the Democratic Republic of Congo of harboring anti-Rwandan rebels. However, beyond these accusations lies a larger truth. This war benefits multiple players, including regional actors, Western powers, multinational corporations, and arms dealers, all of whom have their reasons for ensuring that peace never comes to Eastern DRC. But the question remains, why did M23 never die? M23 was supposed to be defeated long ago, yet it remains one of the most powerful armed groups in Eastern DRC. The rebels operate like a well-organized army, with modern weapons, intelligence, and battlefield strategy. This is not the work of a struggling militia fighting for survival. This is the result of consistent and well-planned support from powerful actors. According to multiple reports, M23 fighters are equipped with advanced firearms, artillery, and even drones, weapons that should not be available to a rebel group under strict international sanctions. The group first gained international attention in 2012, when it briefly captured the city of Goma, the capital of North Kivu province. This was not a random act of rebellion. It was a calculated show of force. Despite their eventual retreat, M23 was never truly defeated. In 2021, the group resurfaced stronger than before, taking over towns, displacing thousands of civilians, and launching deadly attacks, including assaults on UN peacekeepers. The recent attack on South African peacekeepers, which resulted in multiple deaths, shows that M23 is not just another rebel group. It is a well-funded and well-trained military force with clear backing. In 2025, things have got worse. Here's a reminder to please like and share the video and subscribe to our channel to watch more videos on Black culture, history, civilization, and identity. Let's continue now. The situation in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo has taken a catastrophic turn, as M23 rebels have seized control of the Goma International Airport, effectively cutting off one of the most crucial lifelines for humanitarian aid, military supplies, and international diplomatic missions. This is not just another battle in the long-running war. This is an escalation that could completely reshape the conflict. Goma, the largest city in eastern Congo, has been a flashpoint for decades, but what is happening now is the most aggressive M23 offensive since 2012. The rebels stormed the city, leaving dead bodies in the streets, forcing thousands to flee, and even triggering violent protests in Kinshasa, where angry demonstrators attacked embassies of the US, France, and Rwanda, blaming them for interfering in Congo's sovereignty. The United Nations peacekeeping mission MONUSCO has retreated into its bases, signaling that the situation is out of control. The capture of Goma's airport is a massive strategic victory for M23. This airport was the main route through which the Congolese army, humanitarian groups, and UN peacekeepers received reinforcements, supplies, and international aid. Now, with the airport under rebel control, Congo's ability to resist the offensive is weakening by the hour. Diplomats and security analysts say that if M23 holds Goma, it could completely shift the balance of power in Eastern DRC, allowing the rebels to push further into government-controlled territory or even dictate the terms of a future peace settlement. Meanwhile, reports emerging from inside Goma paint a horrifying picture. Witnesses describe gunfire, explosions, and widespread panic, with people rushing to escape. Hospitals are overflowing with wounded civilians and soldiers, and medical facilities have been hit by looters. Aid workers have documented cases of mass killings and looting by armed fighters, raising serious concerns about human rights abuses in the city under M23 control. What is even more alarming is that this attack on Goma is not happening in isolation. In Kinshasa, the capital of DRC, furious protesters stormed the embassies of Rwanda, France, and the United States, setting fires and looting diplomatic compounds. The anger is clear. Congolese citizens are blaming foreign powers for allowing M23 to continue its rampage. The situation has become so unstable that the U.S. State Department has ordered embassy staff to leave Congo, fearing further escalation. While M23 is advancing, another battle is brewing between South Africa and Rwanda, which are now engaged in a full-scale diplomatic showdown over the conflict. South African President Cyril Ramaphosa has openly accused Rwanda of backing M23, linking them to the killing of South African peacekeepers deployed in Congo. In response, Rwandan President Paul Kagame fired back, calling South Africa part of a belligerent force that is helping the Congolese army fight against its people. This diplomatic spat is further complicating an already dangerous situation, as South Africa has warned that further attacks on its troops would be considered a declaration of war. South Africa is not the only country feeling the heat. United Nations officials have openly accused Rwanda of deploying its military forces inside Goma to assist M23 rebels, a claim that Kigali continues to deny. But the evidence is hard to ignore. M23 has demonstrated military capabilities far beyond what a typical rebel group should possess under international sanctions. Reports suggest that Rwandan troops are actively assisting M23 in securing Goma and pushing deeper into DRC territory. The situation is spiraling out of control, and fears are growing that this could turn into a full-scale regional war, similar to the catastrophic conflicts of the 1990s and early 2000s, which resulted in millions of deaths. The United Nations, global powers, and African leaders are scrambling to contain the crisis. But with M23 growing stronger and the Congolese government appearing unable to resist, there is no clear path toward peace. The question is, where does this support come from? While everyone is blaming each other, there is a point everyone is missing. M23 operates near the Rwanda-DRC border, uses weapons that have been traced back to Rwandan military suppliers, and even follows military strategies similar to those used by Rwanda's army. But is Rwanda acting alone? Or is it merely playing a role in a larger geopolitical game that benefits Western powers as well? Wars do not last for decades unless someone is making money from them. The conflict in Eastern DRC is fueled by economic interests disguised as political disputes. The region is home to one of the world's richest deposits of minerals, including coltan, cobalt, and gold, which are essential for industries ranging from electronics to military hardware. These resources are not just valuable, they are necessary for the modern world to function. The global demand for these minerals is so high that multinational corporations, Western governments, and regional players all have a vested interest in ensuring that the DRC remains unstable, weak, and easy to exploit.
It is a contradiction in terms that a major UN peacekeeping troop contributing country could provide resources to an illegal armed group that is conducting offensives against peacekeepers, civilians, and key infrastructure, thereby undermining the mandate of this Council. That must be addressed with utmost urgency.
Rwanda, despite being a small country with limited mineral resources of its own, has become a major exporter of gold and coltan. How is this possible? The answer lies in illegal smuggling networks that funnel Congolese minerals through Rwanda, where they are laundered and sold on the international market as Rwandan exports. This has allowed Rwanda's economy to thrive, while the DRC remains in poverty and conflict. By supporting groups like M23, Rwanda ensures that the DRC government never fully controls its territory, making it easier to continue this illegal trade. But Rwanda is not the only player benefiting from this war. Western corporations that depend on Congolese minerals for their supply chains have no interest in seeing the DRC become a strong, stable nation. A peaceful and independent DRC would be able to regulate its resources, set fair prices, and demand that foreign companies pay taxes and follow ethical labor practices. This would increase costs for Western businesses. So instead, they turn a blind eye to the illegal mining and arms smuggling that fuels the war. Even worse, the very countries that claim to support peace in the DRC are the same ones that allow illegal minerals to enter their markets. The United States and European Union have laws against buying conflict minerals, yet their companies continue to import products made with resources extracted from war zones. This contradiction reveals a dark truth. They do not want peace because war is profitable.
As we stated at the last meeting of the Council a few days ago, the future of UN peacekeeping and its credibility is at stake if we are to tolerate such violations without any ramifications. The Security Council must speak with one voice and act in unison to stop the carnage unfolding in the Eastern DRC. Unfortunately, a press statement of the Security Council, while sending an important political message, has proven to be insufficient in the current situation. Consequently, South Africa would like to highlight the following issues. Firstly, the UN needs to, as a matter of urgency, provide additional support to MONUSCO in order to reinforce operational positions. This is to ensure that MONUSCO can fulfill its primary mandate to protect civilians. This support will also assist to ensure that no further peacekeepers' lives are lost. Similarly, a stronger consideration must be made to bolster the support that MONUSCO provides to the South African Development Community Mission in the DRC, SAMI DRC. Both missions, have the primary responsibility of protecting civilians and key civilian infrastructure. They are instrumental as long as armed groups remain active in the Eastern DRC. Secondly, we remain concerned about the worsening humanitarian situation with millions of people in need of humanitarian assistance. There is a need to ensure that appropriate conditions are created for humanitarian aid to reach people in need across Eastern DRC. All parties to the conflict must uphold international humanitarian law and human rights law.
The United Nations has deployed MONUSCO, one of its largest peacekeeping forces, to Eastern DRC, yet peace has never been achieved. Instead, M23 and other rebel groups continue to grow stronger while UN peacekeepers suffer losses and struggle to maintain control. The recent deaths of South African peacekeepers raise serious concerns about whether the UN is even capable of enforcing peace. If MONUSCO has been present for over 20 years and still cannot stop the violence, then what exactly is its role? Some argue that the UN's presence serves as a way to manage the conflict rather than resolve it. By keeping foreign troops on Congolese soil, Western powers maintain an excuse to intervene whenever necessary, while ensuring that the DRC never fully controls its security. Meanwhile, international arms dealers continue selling weapons to both sides of the conflict, ensuring that the fighting never truly stops. The Western world often condemns African conflicts while secretly benefiting from them. France, for example, has long used proxy wars in Africa to maintain its influence over former colonies, while the United States has focused on securing access to Africa's resources under the pretense of promoting stability. These powers pretend to support peace while doing nothing to dismantle the illegal trade networks that keep warlords in business. So, will peace come anytime soon?
Lastly, the Council needs to underline the importance of preventative measures to avoid the recurrence of the cyclical conflict in the Eastern DRC. It is well known that the genesis of this conflict is primarily the illegal exploitation of the Congolese natural resources. International and regional efforts, including those initiated by the International Conference on the Great Lakes region to address the problem of the resource curse in the region, must be operationalized and supported. As I conclude, Mr. President, I wish to remind Council members that South Africa has suffered many casualties in this conflict. The reason we never hesitate in supporting peace efforts, even at excessive cost, is because we are a product of international solidarity at whose center was the United Nations. Therefore, the ultimate sacrifice of South African peacekeepers in the promoting peace and security in the Great Lakes region should not be in vain. Our plea is for this Council to always protect those who value, safeguard, and execute the mandates adopted in this chamber, and also hold into account those who violate the decisions of this very Council. Failure to do so can only undermine the credibility of and delegitimize the authority of this Council and the United Nations as a whole.
The Rwanda-Congo war continues because it is too profitable to end. As long as there are foreign powers, corrupt governments, and multinational corporations benefiting from chaos, peace will remain a distant dream. The suffering of the Congolese people is treated as collateral damage in a larger game of power and wealth. The DRC government is too weak to fight back alone, and the African Union lacks the political unity and military strength to force an end to foreign interference. To truly end this war, Africa must take control of its destiny. The DRC and its neighbors must form a united front against foreign exploitation, cut off arms supplies to rebel groups, and enforce strict regulations on resource extraction. Until that happens, the war will continue. Not because of ancient tribal rivalries, but because the world wants it to continue. Western powers and corporations will keep pretending to support peace while ensuring that real peace never comes. And until Africa rises to break free from these chains, the people of the DRC will continue to suffer. Not because peace is impossible, but because it is not profitable for those in power. Do you think peace will come anytime soon? What will it take? Let us know in the comments section. Should we expect an end to this conflict if Western powers keep controlling it? Do you want to watch more videos like this one? If so, subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon next to it. We have decided to bring videos on something nobody talks about: the Black culture, civilization, history, and evidence about how glorious Blacks have been. Thanks for watching, and until the next video, stay tuned.